All right, we're going to start off chapter 12 with some vocabulary about solid figures. We're moving into that third dimension where things have a length and a width and a height. Okay, so when we're talking about things that have a length and a width and a height, one of the vocabulary words that we need is face. Not the thing that with our eyes and our nose on it, but a face is a flat polygon that make the sides of these solids. Okay, a face is anything that has a flat side. If we look over here, we can see this trapezoid right here. That's a face. We see this square or rectangle on the top. That's a face. Rectangle here on the side and on the bottom and on the side. Those are all faces of this solid. Okay. Edge. When an edge is a line segment formed by the intersection of two faces. So when this trapezoid meets this rectangle, we have an edge right here. When this trapezoid meets this rectangle, we have an edge here. And look, we have an edge here where the two rectangles touched each other. All of these places where the polygons are fused together, making line segments, are edges on a solid. Vertex, that's a familiar word to us. A vertex is a point where rays meet in an angle or segments met in a polygon, and it's where edges meet on these solids. Here is an example of a vertex. Up here is another example of a vertex. There are many examples of vertex on this picture. Now, one of the very important ones that we're going to learn about is called base. A base is a polygon that is used to name the polyhedron, the solid. Bases must be congruent and parallel to each other. If they are not parallel to each other, they are not bases. Be careful. In this example, the base is not a rectangle. Many times we're used to thinking the base is the bottom, whatever it is sitting on. And when we look over here, sure enough, it is sitting on this rectangular space. But that is not the base, because there is not another one of those rectangles that is congruent to it and parallel to it. The one that's parallel is up here, and it is very much smaller. So this is not a base. What is the base in that shape? What are there two of that are congruent and parallel? Can you see it? It's kind of tough. It's actually this trapezoid. There's a trapezoid in the front, and there is a, let me change colors. There's a trapezoid in the back. Those are the bases. They are the same amount away from each other. These sides are all rectangles, so this purple segment is the same distance all the way around. Those two trapezoids are congruent and the same distance apart from each other, so they are the bases. Okay, two more important words for us this chapter 12. Prism. A solid figure which has two bases that are the same size and shape and parallel to one another. So that's repeating what we said before. This is the different part. Each non-base face is a rectangle. The bases can be any shape, any polygon, I should say, as long as there are two of them that are congruent and parallel. The non-base faces are rectangles if it's a prism. Here's an example of a prism. The bases are triangles and the sides are rectangles. The rectangle in the front, the rectangle in the back right, and the rectangle in the back left. Our other common type of solid at the beginning is going to be a pyramid. We see these in history. We see these in Egypt. The ancient Egyptians made those pyramids at Giza and other places. Pyramids are a common geometric figure. They have one base. That base can be any polygon. And the non-base faces are triangles that meet at a common point. All those triangles lean in towards each other and they hold each other up by touching at the top. The pyramids at Giza are like this one here that have a square base on the bottom. But they don't have to have square bases. They can have other shape, other polygon bases. Speaking of the shape of the base, you name a prism or a pyramid by using the name of the base. So, in this picture on the left, the bases are pentagons, five-sided shapes that are congruent and equal distance apart. They are parallel. And so you would name it a pentagonal prism. You put pentagon and then you add the AL on it to make it an adjective. A pentagonal prism. Okay. You usually add AL or AR depending on the word. And that takes some getting used to. So if you say it wrong, it'll be okay, as long as I can tell that you were saying pentagon or triangle, that the correct shape, as long as I can tell you were trying to say the correct shape. We won't be too picky. Here is an example of a triangular pyramid. It is a base of a triangle, and then there are three sides that are triangles. One there, one here, and then, let me switch colors. This one back here, all leaning together and joining at the top. So we call that a triangular pyramid because it has a triangle base and the sides are triangles that meet at a point. Okay, let's work with these vocabulary words on the next page of our notes. So name the base, meaning what shape is it? And also I'm going to say how many bases. I'm going to change that. How many of each? I'm going to add that in. Your worksheet is going to ask that as well. So how many of each and what are their names? So then that will help us name the figure. So example A. I can see the base, just one. I see one side that it's sitting on. Okay. And we could either call that a square or a rectangle. So that would be one base. The faces. The base actually counts as a face. So how many sides does it have? It has one base at the bottom. And then it has one triangle, two triangles. Oh gosh, this is hard to represent. 3 triangles, 4 triangles. There's a triangle at each side of the square. So this would have 5 faces, 5 sides. One of them is that square base, and 4 of them are triangles. So the name of the figure, if it has 1 base and triangles for sides, that makes it a pyramid. What type of pyramid? You say what type of pyramid by saying the name of the base. It was a square. If you called that a rectangle instead of a square, then you would say you had a rectangular pyramid instead of a square pyramid. Okay. Since they only had 1 measurement A, I was assuming that A was the same on all 4 sides. That's why I decided that call it a square pyramid instead of a rectangle. All right, the one beside it. How many bases and what shape are they? I see these 2 brown triangles, sorry. That looks like 2 bases that are triangles. To me, they are congruent. They are the same distance apart, so they are parallel. So 2 bases that are triangles. How many faces does it have? Well, it has the 2 bases that are triangles, plus how many extra sides? Okay, there's the rectangle on the bottom that joins the bottoms of the triangles. There's the rectangle at the back that joins the heights together. And then this one's really hard to see. There's that rectangle that lays over the top that joins it from the tippy top up here to down here, laying across the hypotenuse, if that was a right angle. We're not sure it is, but laying across the top, laying here. There's the outline of that. So that makes 5 faces. 2 of them are those triangle bases, and 3 of them are rectangles. Okay, so if the non-base faces are rectangles, then we have ourselves a prism. Prisms have rectangular faces. You name the type of prism by naming the type of base, which was a triangle. So this is a triangular prism. Okay, one more over here if I can squeeze it in small enough. Now this one's a little harder because we don't see these dotted lines in the back. Let me try to draw those in. Oops, I missed a little bit here. There we go. That's better. Okay, in the front, there's this trapezoid. In the back, you can imagine there'd be an identical trapezoid. So this one, again, has 2 bases. This time they're trapezoids. There's a set of rectangles joining the tops of the trapezoids, the left of the trapezoids, the right of the trapezoids, and the bottom of the trapezoids. So there'd be 4 rectangles, plus the 2 bases. So there'd be 6 faces. 2 are trapezoids, and 4 are rectangles. Because we see we have 2 bases and rectangular faces, again, we have a prism. The question is what type? Well, you name a prism by the base, so this would be trapezoidal prism for the name of that shape. Alrighty. Let's see if we can draw two to wrap up our study of the vocabulary. Sketch the figure, a square pyramid. So remember that means the shape of the base. And a pyramid has triangular sides that meet at the top. Okay, so let's try ourselves drawing a square. Gosh, I don't even know how I'm going to do this. So I need to, I'll draw a triangle that goes up. Nope, this isn't going to work, is it? I struggle with three-dimensional drawing. How about you? I'll try one more time. So, oh dear. I don't even know what I did there. Okay, I accidentally hit shapes, not drawing. So let me make it a little like angledy here. Does that help me? So triangle, 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 triangle. That's better. Triangle in the front, triangle in the back, mostly meeting at the top. Whew, that was tough. All right, rectangular prism. That means the base is a rectangle. Prism means rectangle sides. So everything about this is a rectangle. A rectangular prism would be what we would commonly think of as a box. My trick for making a box, I remember as a kid, was I would draw a rectangle in the front, and then I would draw a rectangle in the back. These are my bases. And then I would connect corresponding corners. So top left with top left, bottom with bottom, top with top, bottom with bottom. And then that was my way of getting that to work out. And then if you want to, you can say, well, this will be inside the shape. So maybe I should, a common thing we see is that we'll see those with dotted lines to show that it's in the background a little bit. All right. That should be enough to get you started. Let me know if you have questions.